When it comes to countries in Europe making legal rulings about video games, we're normally talking about loot boxes. But German courts have just made a decision that could impact another huge, divisive aspect of the games industry: pre-orders.
Pre-orders have been around as far as gaming is concerned for pretty much a couple of decades now. It all started innocently enough with eager consumers putting their cash down early to ensure their copy of Quake 3 Arena or whatever old people used to play in the olden days was waiting for them on launch day.
Old people, Mike.
I know, I lived through the entire 90s. I was born in 1990, so... I feel
like that's a personal dig there.
No, not at all. It's just a little comedy thing.
You're talking about me, right?
Problem is, right? I wrote the script, and a lot of the words I say these days a lot on it. Like these days, mate. These days things are different. So I just thought I would go. Yes, I know we're old right at the beginning. Right. So it's like a little shield is what it is, but. That won't stop them. In the early 2000s, retailers like GameStop and Amazon realised that pre-ordering was a really good tool for making forecasts, allowing them to order stock based on pre-order interest. That even helped the publishers figure out how many units to actually create. Back then, you'd have to drop a small sum of money, say $5 or even just £1 in the UK in some cases, to pre-order your copy, back when it was just called putting down a deposit. You'd pay the remaining balance on launch day or on delivery, and you knew the whole time that you would bag a copy, no worries.
But as the games market grew, so did the supply of games. Basically, everyone is guaranteed a copy on launch day of your average AAA game these days, pre-order or not. Not only that, but a rapidly growing portion of players buy their games digitally now too, on the PSN Store, Xbox Live Marketplace and Nintendo eShop, and of course on the PC from countless sites and platforms like Steam. And there is essentially an infinite supply of digital copies. So why bother pre-ordering anymore? There's copies for days. Well, that's when the publishers and retailers turn to other methods to encourage pre-orders, because pre-orders are of course very valuable to them. And this is where pre-ordering becomes a contentious issue.
Pre-ordering is a massive part of the games industry in 2018, despite the fact it's much less of a necessity these days and more of a luxury. It's a luxury because it's pushed by publishers and retailers with pre-order bonuses like early weapons, skins, and these days, virtual currency. It's not a necessity if all you want is to get into the thing that, let's face it, we're all here for, the actual game. It's gotten to the point now where you can actually pre-order a game before knowing when you'll even get it. Take these two current examples. First up, The Last of Us Part 2, an upcoming game which not only doesn't have a release date, we don't know what year it's coming out in. But that hasn't stopped UK retailer Game asking $49.99 for a pre-order. They even cheekily state the release date as TBC 2018 on the product page.
Another example comes from Amazon UK, who had a listing for Death Stranding on the PS4, another game with no release date in sight. Again, £50 for the privilege of pre-ordering, although that listing seems to have disappeared in the time that we took to make this video. We should point out, at least here in the UK, it's fairly common practice not to take money out of people's accounts until the day of purchase. So this kind of pre-ordering is the worst, okay, in my opinion. This is when you're giving people money for a name, like somebody's dropped the name of a game and you're giving them the money for that game. You don't know what's going to be in the game.
There's no box art.
There's nothing. And this is funny actually, because this leads back to, remember Walmart Canada, who announced all these games by mistake? Yeah. They were literally selling you names of games that weren't even announced yet. Oh, that was a mistake, obviously, but that was the intention, right? They made that
That's
website.
why they were made.
Yeah, to take money off you before you know what you're getting. In what other industry, in what other shop would you go to and pay for something before you even know what it is, before you even know when it's coming? This is why it's bad, right? And this leads to a lot of bad practices in the games industry, where people they might not even decided what's going to be in the game while they're making it. The developers might be still fleshing out the game, and they might be deciding, should we put this part of the game, that part in the game? We don't know. Oh, we're still taking money off people before we've even decided these things, and that part is wrong, because it might lead them to decide to scale back the game because they've got all these pre-orders, they're ready to go. All they have to do is release the game. Oh, we'll leave that bit. We've already got this money, and that's where you can see where this kind of thing can be abused.
What it does is it takes advantage of basic love of things. It takes advantage of geeks and nerds and that gif of Fry from Futurama going, shut up and take my money. It's taking advantage of that kind of, I don't care. I love The Last of Us Part 1, so oh yeah, I'm definitely going to buy Last of Us Part 2. I don't care about the reviews. I don't need to see the game in action. I am going to buy it anyway. It's that kind of idea that that they just capitalise on and try and squeeze and really encourage in the industry, and that's an unhealthy thing, because you don't even know when you're going to get it, and they still want you to book your purchase.
Anyway, that kind of pre-ordering with not so much as a release date to go on is about to come to an end. Well, at least in Germany. Yeah, the higher regional court of Munich, according to German outlet Heise, has ruled that vague dates like coming soon to lure people into pre-ordering should not be allowed. The case came after German reseller Media Market was taken to court by a consumer rights group over a pre-order offer for Samsung Galaxy 6 smartphones back in August of 2016. The ruling said that customers should know when to expect a delivery after a pre-order. Stores and sites in Germany must now offer an exact date on which the product will be delivered or not offer a pre-order at all. Now, this ruling may be in relation to a smartphone deal, but it is applicable to everything, video games included. There's no such law in place in the rest of Europe or in the UK at the moment.
So this is quite a significant court case, but it's kind of confirming a previous ruling from what I understand. Also, the fact that it's a smartphone thing, that doesn't really matter. It covers basically everything. The idea is that MediaMarkt had a deal for Samsung Galaxy S6 phones, and then that was kind of a continuously coming soon kind of label because they didn't know when the stock was going to come in. So people would put money down, when am I going to get the phone? When we get the stock. So people ended up waiting for a long time, and they just didn't have a date on when they would actually receive it. So it's just there to correct that kind of thing, but the implications of it are quite big. And I think the big question it throws out is, where does this leave? There's so many different models in gaming, like early access. Where does that leave early access? What if you're like
Kickstarter, maybe?
Even Kickstarter, it does at least make you wonder. You know, it does make you ask questions about it at the very least. And I think certainly with early access, it's something that is very confusing to me, because you put your money down on it, but you do get something, but that's not the thing that you put your money down for. You're buying the promise of something better down the line. But in most cases with early access, they just give you a year. They just say, oh, it'll be 2019 or something, but enjoy this for now and help us put it together. You know, is that more of like a investment? Is it more of a donation or something? It's just very hazy. But German consumer law is very strict, and the consumer rights in Germany are like pretty much the best in the world. So it's no surprise to me that Germany is the country that's kind of realised that the pre-order coming soon stuff is bullshit.
I think it's obvious that this type of taking money off people before you got a release date or before you know what the product is, it's bad. It's really bad for the industry, and this type of thing should stop across the board. The fact that Germany are bringing it in is the first that I've seen of this happening, right? That's a great thing, and it goes a bit of the way to tidying up all the other shady practices as well. I mean, you can think about the early access to games and stuff like that. You know, people who offer early access games might not even be bound to complete the game or finish the game. I've been bitten in the past where you buy into early access, developer doesn't finish the game, they just move on. Like what recourse is there for that? There's nothing. So I for one hope that this maybe sets a precedent, or maybe other countries will see what Germany doing here and decide to make their own laws to try and protect the consumer a little bit more, because it definitely needs it.
Have you ever pre-ordered something not knowing when you'll actually get it? Let us know what you were thinking down in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and check out that video right there if you want to watch that. There's also a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.